Directly underneath our knees with our knees shoulder width apart. Hands are going to be on our knees. We're just going to take a deep breath in and exhale. Putting a little bit of weight in our heels. We're going to contract our glutes a little bit and our stomach muscles as we try to assume a mild, slight hollow position. Now, as you do this, I want you to keep your arms, start off with the arms straight and push the palms of your hands onto your knees. This should straighten up your back by rolling the shoulders back and down, but without the chest having to lift up. Now, as you continue to push onto your thighs with the palms of your hand, I want you to slowly, very slowly, start to bend your elbows and slide your hands up your thighs, but you're going to still dig the palms of your hands into the top of the thigh. So very slowly, don't let your shoulders come forward. Don't lose your contractions within your core. And you should notice your shoulder blades squeezing together a lot more. Now, hopefully there's not an obstacle in your way as you pull back. So if you have arms on your chairs, hopefully you're able to maybe bring your feet in a little bit closer, if that helps. We're just slowly, very, very slowly digging into our thighs. Now our hands should be towards the top of our thigh. Our chest should be centered forward. Our shoulders should be rolled back and down. We shouldn't be arching, but our core should be nice and engaged. Now I want us to slowly bring these hands back forward, very slowly. Pushing the palms into the top of our thighs. Up to the point where our hands are just on top of the knees. And hold that contraction. And breathing. Okay, go ahead and relax for a second. Taking our hands, palms of our hands, pushing down onto the top of our knees. Now we're just going to keep that hollow, contract the abdominal muscles, the glutes. Now we're just going to come back. We're going to lean back a little bit. Don't let the chest lift up. Hands will slide up the thighs, and you'll stop just before the weight completely leaves your feet. You continue to hold. You continue to breathe, but make sure your back doesn't arch. We don't want our back to arch. We want to keep our back slightly rounded. Really feel those core muscles having to work a lot right now. Breathing, not holding our breath. And we're going to come forward. Continue to hold those contractions because we're coming back already. So let's come back now. Come back, nice and easy. Breathing, not holding your breath. We're going to pause just before the weight completely leaves your feet. Ideally, we won't be leaning back against the chair. We'll have a little space in between. Squeeze those glutes still. Come back forward. Keep breathing. Don't let go of your contraction. We're going to come back one more time, okay? Coming back. Let's come back real slow. Breathing frequently. as often as we need to, keeping those stomach muscles nice and engaged all the way through. Holding. And back up. And relax. Woo. Shake it out a little bit. Whoa. I know, right? You feel that like crazy. Alrighty. Now again, for those of you who might be new or just joining the class for the first time, again, in mobile bodies, what we're purely trying to focus on is mobility. You might find some of these exercises to elicit some stretching, but the biggest thing is we're trying to focus on the function of our joints, not necessarily the characteristic of our muscle. So that would be the biggest difference between flexibility and mobility. Flexibility is more of a characteristic of the muscle, the function of the muscle, whereas mobility is being able to go through a range of motion without one joint affecting the function of another joint. So are you able to squat down? Do you have the mobility in your hips to squat down while being able to maintain a straight back and an upright torso? That would be considered good mobility, things like that. So some of the positions that we get into, two main ones here is the hollow, where I contract my abdomen and I squeeze my glutes. I get this nice rounded back. And my pelvis posteriorly tilts. Okay? And there's the arch, where it's the exact opposite. My shoulders roll back and down. My back is nice and straight. Instead, if it's overly straight, it's kind of concave a little bit. I have a very accentuated lordotic curve, and my pelvis is anteriorly tilted. So there's two polarized positions here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to have everybody stand up. We're still not using any equipment right now. If you can, if you are going to stay on the chair, then you still don't need any equipment. But if you want to, you can bring like a stool around in front of you, or you can just kind of reach out for the next couple things that we're going to do here. What we're going to do is everyone's going to get behind their chair or pull their chair through just in front of them. Pretty good? All right, now, what we're going to do is we're going to place our hands, the palms of our hands on this chair, and we're just going to take our feet back just a little bit. Okay? I want to keep weight in my heels, and that's probably the more important part here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze my glutes to posteriorly tilt my pelvis. And I'm going to hollow my spine by contracting the abdomen. Basically, those abdominal muscles are going to pull my sternum down to my pelvis and my pelvis up to my sternum. My glutes help keep my pelvis locked and tucked. So the palms of my hands are on this chair here, okay? So we're going to be leaning forward a little bit, all right? Now, once you get leaning forward and your arms are on this chair, for those of you who are sitting down, I want you to think about instead, you're still crunched, you're still tucked, your pelvis, following your spine, and you're just going to reach out with your hands, just like this. And if you want to, you can even bring your hands down to try to reach and clasp the front, the highest point on your shin, just below your kneecap or on top of it. Those of us standing, we're right here on top, hands resting on top of the chair. And we're just going to really hollow that spine. And I want you to slowly lower your shoulders down. You should feel a very unique sensation in the armpits and the sides, upper part of our shoulders. It should feel like a pretty nice stretch. Now what I want you to do is I want you to apply pressure Push through the palms of your hands onto the top part of that chair. Palms of the hands, not your fingertips or anything like that. The palms of your hands. And I want you to flex your wrists. So what that looks like here is if my hand was up like I was saying, hey, that's extended. I want it coming down. Look like I'm showing everybody I got my nails back or something like that. So keep your wrists flexed. Elbows are slightly bent. And my upper body is rounded forward. That back is rounded. I want you to draw your elbows in a little bit. I want you to draw your shoulders down and forward. It should really round out your back, your upper back a little bit more. You should feel it. Stretch even that upper part of your back with your shoulders. Okay? You might notice that when you drive and squeeze those elbows in, the weight and the pressure in your hands kind of shifts from the middle bottom part of the palm to kind of the outside part of the palm of the hand. That's okay. Still push down on the chair. As long as you should feel those lats lighting up here. And what I'm cueing you to do here is we're externally rotating our arms. And now what I want you to do is I want you to now flatten your palms back out, push down, arch your back and push your hips back. So your back is nice and straight. If you want real quick, take a good look at the screen and watch me for just a second. I started off in this position where my glutes were squeezed, my back was hollowed. I had drawn my elbows in, keeping my elbows slightly bent. And basically the palms of my hands were almost facing each other at this point. My back is very rounded. You can see that roundness in the back. And then I flattened my wrist back out on top, pushing through, straightening up my arms a little bit, arching my back, pushing my hips back, drawing those shoulder blades back and down, and really emphasizing an arch position. Your chest should be lifted up, and your head should definitely be above the level of your heart, and ideally you'll be looking forward this position. You should really be able to feel those lower back muscles working. Okay? Not bad. Let's go back to the hollow. Squeeze the glutes. Hollow that spine, contracting the abdomen. Let the shoulders reach forward. Kind of turning your thumbs up, pulling your elbows down and in. Doing good. Let's go back to the arch, push the hips back. Bring your chest forward, arch back. Shoulders should be drawn back and down. Arms should be straight. Palms of your hands, or at least the bottom part of the palms, should be flat on top of the chair, really emphasizing that arch position. And go ahead and come back up and stand up. Woo! It's quite a bit of energy going through those very polarized positions there. Now, just standing again with no equipment. We're going to bring the hands on in front of our thighs. Bring our feet shoulder width apart. I'm going to squeeze. We're going to go into a nice hollow. Squeeze the glutes first, and then very slowly, I'd say over the course of 10 seconds. Let's start with the upper body. Bring those shoulders down by reaching down your thighs, a little bit with the tips of your fingers. And then we're going to pull that sternum down towards our pelvis very slowly, just like the hands are reaching towards the knees. those glutes contracted. Reaching down, reaching down. Very good. Once you've gotten into a full hollow position at back, you should notice that your back is nice and rounded. Glutes are pretty contracted. Abdomen's definitely working pretty well. And we're going to come back up. Very slowly digging the palms of our hands to the front of our thighs. Try to keep your hollow a little bit in terms of keep the glutes squeezed a little. Keep the abdomen contracted. But try to bring that spine up by drawing the shoulders back and down, squeezing the hands into the top of our thighs. But don't let the chest rise up too much. Chest should be square, looking forward. Squeezing, palms of my hands in, and relax. Check it out. Now, in terms of being able to get a good idea about how much effort we really want to be putting into these different positions where we're pushing with the palms of our hands, or let's say that we have the PVC, for example, you don't need to grab your PVC, but when we're digging it into our thigh, just like this, we're going to go ahead and we're going to kind of overly demonstrate that here. So, with our feet shoulder width apart, we're going to squeeze those glutes a little. We're going to do a mild hollow here. You can see my back's a little rounded. Now, the palms of my hands, I'm going to squeeze the palms of my hands into my thighs so that my shoulders draw back. And as soon as my shoulders draw back, I'm going to make sure I'm standing nice and tall through the heels of my feet. But I'm not going to let the chest look up. The chest is okay to look forward, but I don't want it to look up. And I'm going to relax. But don't relax your glutes. Still keep them contracted. Keep the stomach contracted. Just relax the arms. Let the stomach muscles slowly pull that sternum back down again. Because you might notice the sternum will move a little bit. That's okay. Sternum comes down just a little bit now. Squeeze the palms of your hands, top of the thigh again. Slowly squeezing harder, harder, and harder until all of a sudden you're producing enough force to start drawing those shoulder blades back. And now you can relax the glutes a little and think about standing nice and tall through the heels. Again, our chest shouldn't be looking up, it should just be looking forward. Using those stomach muscles to prevent our chest from breaking level and staying nice and centered. Relax the hands, still keep your glutes contracted a little bit. Squeeze that abdomen a little bit harder to bring the sternum down. Now squeeze the palms of your hands back into the top of your thigh. Drawing those shoulders back and down. Keep squeezing. Try to straighten those legs out, standing nice and tall through the heels. And relax. Good job. Check it out. Okay, now let me go back over some lower body mobility here, okay? So, what we're going to do, we'll grab our PVC. You're welcome to join me standing. We're going to warm up our hips a little bit here, okay? So for those of you who are seated, make sure you're at the very edge of your seat. What we're going to do here is you have options. where you might want to put the PVC, okay? First option, this might be a little bit easier, is you just keep the PVC in contact with the collarbone. And you push the elbows forward a little bit to make sure that your forearms have a vertical orientation. Your elbows are pointed towards the floor. Ideally, our elbows are not pointed back. Now, if you have the mobility and the flexibility for it, we can place this dowel in the top part, the back of our shoulders. I'm going to go ahead, if I'm in position here, remember it's not on their neck, it's on the shoulders here, that little meaty shell that you got. We're going to bring our feet shoulder width apart. Now, just like I was doing before, I'm going to contract the abdomen, contract the glutes. Okay, so we shouldn't be arching. Not at all. Now, while we're contracting the glutes and while we're contracting the abdomen, we're going to tilt down towards the left. Come back center. Tilt down towards the right. Come back center. Make sure you're still squeezing the glutes. Make sure you're still squeezing the abdomen. Now push the elbows forward a little bit. Make sure you're breathing. Tilt back. Sorry, that was right side, tilt to the right. Then tilt all the way towards the left. Back center. Rotate all the way towards the right. Keep your glutes squeezed. It might be difficult to keep the abdomen squeezed in this one, but that's okay. Rotate all the way towards the left. Doing good. And back center. Woo! Not bad, right? Not at all. Not at all. Okay, so bring the PVC down. Give your shoulders a second if you need to. Because we're going to go right back up into position. Now, whether the dowel is just in front, in contact with the collarbone, or whether it's behind you, we're going to keep both feet shoulder width apart. I'm going to keep my glutes squeezed, hollow a little bit, and I'm going to push both elbows forward. Keeping both elbows pushed forward, I'm going to tilt down towards the right, then towards the left. Back to the center. Rotate towards the right. Rotate all the way towards the left. Back to the middle and bring that PVC down. Woo! All right. Hopefully the shoulders are kind of starting to loosen up a little bit here. It's getting a little bit easier for us to maintain that posture. We're going to do some hip hinges, and then we're going to do staggered hip hinges. So when I say a hip hinge, I'm just referring to a hinging at the hip motion, which means a staggered hip hinge is where I have a normal gait width foot stance. So if I took 2 normal walking steps, 1, 2, and then the third step, I stopped. Let me do that again. Third step, I'll stop. 1, 2, 3. So I have a staggered stance. One foot is behind one foot is forward, the other foot's back. They're still the same width apart as shoulder width. But now I have a normal gait width distance. And in this position you would hip hinge. Okay? Just like that. All right, so let's just do our normal feet side by side, or feet both within the same x-axis, but shoulder width apart. Let's place that PVC back onto our shoulders, or just in front, the collarbone. Let's squeeze those glutes a little. Squeeze the abdomen a little. And now push the elbows forward. That's going to help keep the back straight. Bend the knees slightly. Weights in the heels as we hinge. Forward. Keep the elbows forward. Keep the abdomen squeezed. And keeping your head above the level of our heart, we're going to pull ourselves back up. You should really feel your hamstrings trying to contract. And squeezing the glutes a lot at the top, but not letting go of any of these contractions here, okay? The only contraction you're letting go of is the diaphragm, so you can breathe. Bend the knee. Elbows are forward. Core is tight. We're not arching our back. Hinging at the hip. Keeping our head above the level of our heart. Coming back up. Ooh, there we go. Bend the knees. Do that again. Coming down, elbows are forward, core is still tight, and we're breathing. Coming back up, nice and easy. Squeeze those glutes. Push those elbows forward a little bit more if you can. Really discipline that posture. Really squeeze those core muscles. Bend the knees, hip hinging forward. Coming back up. Woo. Squeezing the glutes at the top and relax. Good job. Woo. All right. All right, so now we're going to do the staggered stance. So let's practice this because this is awkward. It can be awkward. Especially because you're supposed to just naturally do it, but we're trying to force ourselves to do something naturally. Well, it's an oxymoron. So what you want to do is take a few steps back, and on the third count, you're just going to walk 3 steps out, like how you naturally would as if you're about to leave the room. So 1, 2, pause. Once you pause, if you notice that your gait has gotten a little narrower, that your feet are closer together, that's okay. Just bring the back foot out to the side just a little bit, but don't let it move forward and don't let it move any further back than where it landed. Just let it push laterally out to the side. And this would be a good gait, a normal gait stance here. So let's do that one more time. What's going to happen here is if we want the left foot to be forward, let's lead with the left foot, okay? So 1, 2, 3, pause, check down. If I need to put space in between, just put a little space in between, but other than that, we're pretty good. All right, now, PVC. PVC is in place. Now here's the hard part. This is a staggered good morning. This is what these exercises, the hip hinge, good morning. We have something behind our back, or a load or stimulus is on the upper part of our body. We're just we call it a good morning because it's like when you get up, you're like, ugh. So that's why I call it a good morning. But you're offset. So here's the hard part. I'm going to square up with you. If it doesn't look like it, I promise I still have a staggered stance. I'm going to squeeze my glutes. It will be harder. I'll squeeze the abdomen. I'll push both elbows forward. That won't be any harder or easier. And still breathing. Then I'm going to take a hip hinge. What's going to happen is at the very get-go, you're already probably going to start rotating on your pelvis. And you're going to start rotating towards the side. You'll naturally want to rotate towards the side of the behind leg. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We want to continue to try to practice symmetry and keeping yourself as square as you possibly can, even if you have a staggered stance. So in this position here, when you come forward, I want you to come forward very, very slowly. So we're going to hip hinge very slowly. And I'll let you kind of grade me here, so that way you can see if I'm messing up or not. My glutes are squeezed, my abdomen is tight, my elbows are forward. I'm hip hinging, but I'm not going to rotate to any side. You might notice you're favoring the forward leg. That's okay. That's okay. Just try to evenly distribute your weight through both feet as best you can, but definitely through both heels. Keeping your head above the level of your heart, come back up. You'll also notice one leg might feel like it's doing a little bit more work on the way up. That's also okay. Hinging forward again. Remember, don't rotate, don't twist, don't turn. You're just going to hip hinge forward. Nice and square. Keeping your head above the level of your heart. You're going to pull yourself back up. We got 2 more to do, okay? Both knees are slightly bent throughout. Okay, I'll get back to my profile view here. Both knees are slightly bent. Going forward. Come back up and breathing still. Knees are slightly bent. Going forward. Come back up. Good job. Go ahead and bring the pieces down. Shake it out for a second. Because what we do for one side, we must do for the other. All right, now. Whoop. Let's go ahead and do our normal gait walk. So this time leading off with the right foot. So 1, 2, pause on the third one, spread the foot out. If you need to get shoulder width apart, both knees are slightly bent. Squeeze the glutes, make sure you're facing forward. Okay, weights in both heels. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the core, squeeze those abdominal muscles, push the elbows forward, and we're hinging forward. Now for those of you who are in the chair, all you have to do is bring one foot back in your chair, and the front foot leg stays forward, and you can just hinge with us. Keep on going. We got 3 more. So again, what that looks like is if you're in the chair, so you have one foot in front, and the other foot comes back. You pick the heel off, and you just hinge from here. And you do your best not to rotate to any side, and you come up. Still making the same cues that I am. Squeezing the hips. We're squeezing our glutes, our abdomen. Elbows are pointed forward. Hinging at the hip, keeping our head above the level of our heart. Come back up. Just like that. Good job. Move forward. Let's do one more here. Keep the stomach nice and squeezed. Come back up. Good job. And relax. Woo! That's not too bad, right? No, not at all. Oh man. Shake it out a little bit if you have to. Now, This next one is going to be probably a little difficult for a lot of us. And for those of you who are seated, it'll be difficult enough for you to be able to do the exercise and receive a decent challenge, but not too difficult that you won't be able to do it. So for those of you who are seated, you only have really one cue to do. Is if you're seated with the PVC an inch hovering above both knees, with both knees at shoulder width apart, you're just going to bring up one knee. So start off with the left side. And what's going to happen here is once the knee comes up, you're going to try to push the knee down with both hands. Push it, if you're trying to use the PVC to push the knee down, except what's going to happen here is you're not going to let the knee move. Okay? You're just going to keep pushing down, but the knee's not going to move. Okay? As best you can. For those of us who are standing, you have the option to sit if you want to do that one. Otherwise, I suggest having a chair nearby, kind of at your side, or if you want, as long as it doesn't move anywhere, put your rear end close up to the back side of it, or to the back side of the wall, that you can kind of support yourself with in terms of if you're having trouble balancing, because this next one is going to kind of require a little bit of balance, okay? If you can do this standing, what this is going to look like is we're going to have our hands on the outside of the PVC. Our feet are going to begin hip width apart. Now you will notice that your weight will have to shift towards one foot, because we're going to bring the left foot up. We're going to bring the left knee up here, okay? With your hands fully extended out, you're going to raise your knee up to however high that is. So bring your hands out in front at what would be hip height. Try to get that knee up there if you can. If you're having trouble bring your hands down lower, but keep your arms straight. But you need to at least have the top of the thigh pushing up against the PVC. Now, if you can do that, just like this, wherever that is, you're going to hold, and you're going to push up with such force as if to push the PVC up. What's going to happen is you're going to keep an equal amount of force trying to push the knee down. Okay? So what's going to happen is these two, when an unmovable object meets an unstoppable force kind of scenario, going to come down. Don't let the elbows bend. This is when having a wall behind you might help. You're going to push down, standing tall to the foot that's on the ground, squeezing the glute of the foot that's on the ground, really contracting the core muscles. You're just going to squeeze and hold, okay? All right, shake it out real quick. We're going to hold it for 5 seconds, all right? So, everyone should be able to see me. My arms are straight. Hold it out. Pick the knee up. For those of you sitting, pick your knee up. Push down. Don't let the knee bend. Don't let it budge. Nothing should be moving, but a lot of work should be getting done right now. Squeeze the glute of the leg that's still down. Core tight and bring it back down. Same leg. Left leg up again. Squeezing, keeping out. Pushing down with the PVC. You should feel those lats turning off. Coming back down. I know the balancing is probably killing a lot of people here. Coming back up again. Squeezing down. Good job. Now, if you're having a lot of trouble with the balance, then don't hold the PVC out as far. You can just bring it out just a little bit, and that way the leg will make contact with the PVC much sooner. You won't have to hold the leg up as high. All right, let's switch sides. Right leg. It's coming up and push. Pushing down PVC. Holding. that leg down. Bring it back up. Squeezing. Bring it back down. Oh, very good. Bring it back up. Squeeze down the PVC. Oh, very good. And relax. Good job. I know that's a hard one, isn't it? That one's pretty good. Okay. There, put your PVCs down. Everybody stand in front of your chair. Feet are shoulder width apart. Hands are just in front of the thigh. You're going to squeeze the glutes, squeeze the abdomen. You're in your chair. You're coming with me here. We're going to bring our fingertips down towards our knees, contracting the abdomen to pull our sternum down, but our abdomen is going to also push our hands down the legs. Think about using the abdomen to push the fingertips down towards our knees. Reaching, you should get to a point where you're not leaning forward, but you're hollowed. Curve back. Come back up. The higher you get, the more I want you to squeeze the palms of your hand to the top of your thigh until you get to the point where your shoulders are rolled back and down, but your chest is not lifting up because we are, that's right, keeping those core muscles engaged. Still always emphasizing a mild hollow. And let's come back down again. Using those abdominal muscles to push our fingertips towards our knees as we reach. Keeping those glutes squeezed. Once you feel like you're at the point where you couldn't go any further unless you tipped forward, don't go any further. Start to come back up. Squeezing the palms of our hands harder and harder to the front of our thighs. Standing up nice and tall. Shoulders are rolled back and down. Hold that head up nice and tall. Chin is still level with the floor. Relax everything. Standing up nice and tall. Good job, everybody. Well done. Thank you again for tuning in.